Hey guys, Pez coming to you again. Well, not really again, with something a little bit new. I'm making this a little series I'm going to do like with the top 10s, rants, random moments, and breakfast times. But this is going to be about siding. And I'm going to start off with a deck which everyone knows is coming around. Everyone knows it's going to do something, and it's Bujin. So what I'm going to do with this series is I'm always going to make sure I have 15 individual cards that you can personally side against this deck to help you understand how to beat it. Now, Bujins obviously revolve around the grave and somewhat in the hand. Now, the easy options to side against this deck is Imperial Iron Wall and Light Imprisoning Mirror. This shuts down the deck completely. The fact that this card alone will stop them from protecting their Yamato, and this just stops everything completely. But there's a lot more to the deck, obviously, as you know. So I'm going to go through the individual side cards which you can use, and hopefully this helps people figure out how they want to build their side decks later on in the formats when Bujin actually come up, because I think it's going to happen. Konami is shoving this deck down our throats, just like with Dragons, so they obviously want this deck to do well, so it's obviously going to happen. So we've got to figure out how to side for it, and this should help. So Imperial Iron Wall, obviously it stops everything that's in the grave. They can't banish it, they can't do fuck all with it. So that means no centipede, no quillin, no hare, no fucking turtle, no nothing. Nothing will stop you from hurting that Yamato. But obviously they can still use Crane. But we also have Light Imprisoning Mirror. This stops the whole search effect from Yamato. It's like skill drain. But obviously some people are still running light decks, so maybe Light Imprisoning Mirror isn't the best option. But the good thing about Light Imprisoning Mirror is it also counters the grave as well, so they can't use the protection as well. So this does, if not more, than Imperial Iron Wall in that sense, and how it completely shuts down the deck. DNA Surgery. No, I don't know if a lot of people were really thinking about this, but most, if not all, of the Bujin cards which would protect the Bujins all say if a Bujin Beast Warrior type, if you have a Bujin Beast Warrior type on the field, do this. So this completely changes that, so that there are no Beast Warrior types on the field. You can just say Fiend, and all of their Bujin monsters are now Fiends. So, in retrospect, this is like what people used to do against Prophecy, when obviously they go Judgment, they set up, and you've probably got that set thing, and they set like Fates and stuff, you chain in the end phase, DNA Surgery, just call anything you want, which isn't Spellcaster, and they can't do shit. So, it just helps out. Debunk. Debunk is good purely because of the factor of it stops Crane, it stops Honest, and if you want to go that extra mile, you can even side Mind Drain, because it stops a hell of a lot more. So yeah, it does. These two cards will do so much work for the deck just to counteract the obvious, Crane and Honest factor. Soul Drain, just so they can't use the Bujins. But the good thing about Soul Drain, I know I'm showing a lot of things like Light Imprisoning Mirror, Imperial Iron Wall, and Soul Drain, but the reason is because Soul Drain is more, it's good for a lot of decks, how it can counteract a lot of decks. It can counteract Dark Worlds, it counteracts quite a few. I can't think of them on the top of my head. Obviously it counteracts Dragons, but I know it does counteract a lot more than just Bujins, Dark Worlds, and Dragons, because there's a reason why this thing got hit, obviously because of Dragons, but trying to make a conversation. Another side deck card you can use is Macrocosmos. This just means the whole, send it to the graveyard, blah blah blah. It means all of their things are going to get banished anyway. Even if they try and recycle it with the sword, it's still going to stay banished, so there's not much they can really do there, so it just stops the whole protection thing and stuff like that. Skill Drain. Again, it's one of those things of, if you can't use Light Imprisoning Mirror because you're using a light deck, but you want to stop that Bujin search and stuff like that, so you can just side in Skill Drain. Dark Worlds will obviously be siding in Light Imprisoning Mirrors and probably Skill Drain anyway, So it just helps out in that case. I mean, yeah, you're taking some life, but at the end of the day, it'll be worth it. And back into the banishing bit, D-Fissure. It's always good siding a D-Fissure and a Macrocosmos, just so you have more to choose from. So it just helps out. Necro Valley. This is one which my friend told me about. He was saying how a lot of people up his end are siding in Necro Valleys against dragons, just so they can counteract with the field spell War, just so they can get rid of the ravine and also stop the banishing from the grave, and it also can, like, you know, help out. So it just helps out in that factor of it just stuns the field, it stuns their grave, so they can't do much. Deck lockdown, Bujin search a lot, it's obvious. They are running things like Tenki, Pot Duality, obviously because of Yamato, they get the adding effect, the same with Mikazuchi, they're getting the adding effect, so this just stuns that factor for a while. If you really need to, you can side this in. I said I wanted to get 15 cards, and I was skimming on this one. It's an okay card to side, because you can use it against Dragoonities as well. If they got Phalanx, you banish it. Dark Worlds, you can use it against, so you banish the Grappa. It's just a multi-purpose card, and I think it's pretty damn good at the same time. But it's one of those things of, if you can't afford anything else, which is very unlikely, then yeah, side it. But then we got the Thunder King, because this will just stun them completely, unless obviously they open Yamato and Crane. You know, it just stuns them completely, because you can just stop their adding capabilities. So it's just good. Thunder King has always been that good card, which you can always use. And if you can't afford a Macro or a D-Fissure, Banisher of the Radiance is always good, but the only problem is, you know, Yamato's more powerful than it anyway, and, you know, it's meh. But, you know, it's always that good. And finally, we have Neospatian Grand Mole. The awesome thing about Neospatian Grand Mole is it doesn't really target, so, it works so fucking well. Before damage step, just bang, return it to the hand, and you can swing for a game if you need to. So, essentially, Neospatian Grand Mole is the bane of Bujins. But that's my side deck help. I hope this helps out a lot, because I'm going to be siding in a couple of these cards in my decks. I'm going to be using Light Imprisoning Mirrors, and hopefully Imperial Iron Wall with the debunks, because that's just good enough variety. But I hope this helped you. I hope this helped you out, guys. Barker Pair signing off. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.